Wednesday, November the 5th. Lake level's about 916 and a half. It hasn't changed very much in the last couple of weeks. Water temperature the last few days was about 62 degrees in the morning, and pretty much stayed 62 to 64 throughout the mid-lake area. I'm sure the river arms are down into the high 50s. So with that water temperature starting to cool down, crankbait bites starting to happen. I had the opportunity a couple days ago to fish with Mike McClellan, Mr. Rock Crawler himself. He's the one that designed it. But we got to do a little video on some of the new colors that Spro's introduced on the Rock Crawler. And when we went out, it was less than ideal conditions to be throwing a crankbait. I mean, it was bluebird skies, not a cloud in the sky. No wind, and we fished down in the lower end of the lake, pretty clear water, but in just a few hours we actually caught, I think, 4 good keepers and about 8 or 9 shorts on a lot of these new colors they come out with. And we were throwing the RK55 and the 50 model, and I don't have any of the colors to show you. As soon as I get my hands on them, I'll show you what colors, but they were a lot of, they had a lot of blue in them, anything that this time of year, shad is the big deal. But they had some new ones they come out with that were solid colored baits that they made in like the ghost style baits in a translucent color. Some pretty awesome colors. But anyways, most of the crankbait fish we caught, I think we caught one on a main lake, gravel, flat point. And then we didn't catch anything for about an hour and a half, and we found as we was going into little cuts, not so much creeks, just little cuts off of the main lake where there was a deeper channel on one side. It seemed like from the back of them cuts out to the points is where we caught a lot of the fish, and we caught largemouths, Kentuckys, and smallmouths on the Rock Crawler. So I believe, if I get the right conditions with the wind, a little bit of clouds, and the wind and stuff picked up just about the time we got through shooting the video, and we stayed out there a little bit longer and started catching more on, wind-blown points, but we didn't fish too much after that. We had some other things to do. But anyways, today, during my guide trip, we had kind of the same conditions. We didn't throw the crankbaits at all. The husband and wife I had, the wife hadn't fished very much, so we went out and drop shotted and threw a football jig. So we caught several fish on a football jig. Her husband did. He could fish it well. And they seemed to be on the conservation brush piles, and not so much in them, but more around them, in the piles and in the rock piles, about 25, 28 feet deep. And we were throwing a 5/8 ounce or a 3/4 ounce football jig. Green pumpkin orange was working, PBJ was working, green pumpkin purple, and just fishing it real slow on the bottom. Then I had her fishing the brush piles with a drop shot, and like I say, she had never fished before, so I started her out with a night crawler on there so she'd get the feel of it. And once she got the hang of it, I mean, we caught a lot of fish on a drop shot today. Most of the drop shot fish were on the conservation brush piles on main lake points or deeper submerged timber off of like bluff ends, but most everything that we caught on the drop shot was more main lake related. And we only threw a couple different color worms. We were throwing a Missiles 4-inch mini worm and like a PBJ color, which I think it's a John's Juice, and the other one is a Morning Dawn. And 1/4 ounce weight on a spinning rod. Most of the fish that were out over the deeper trees were suspended, and we did have to go through a lot of little fish to catch keepers. But when you got around a tree, there was groups of them where several times they doubled up at the same time, and we might catch 5 or 8 just out of one tree. Then the school would kind of break up, and we'd have to mill around a little bit. And you could pick up an isolated one here or there, but there was a lot of big schools where they was running in like wolf packs around some of them trees. But like I say, there was a lot of 12 to 13 inch fish. You had to catch 5 or 6 of them to catch a keeper. We also caught some off the ends of some deeper boat docks on the main lake, off the cables on the outside. We didn't get a chance to throw topwater at all. We didn't start till, later in the morning. But like I say, I was kind of intrigued with the crankbait bite because we didn't have the best of conditions. So I think if a person gets the right conditions, especially with that water cooling down, it's going to do nothing but get better. Well, a little bit we did fish shallow yesterday, with the crankbait, and I did a little bit this afternoon with a whopper plopper and a glide bait as well. I've seen very little shad, up on the bank, and there's no sign of any bluegills, or I think that, the last of the bluegill are through spawning. So I didn't see much activity up there in the shallow water. And even yesterday when we was catching them on a crankbait, we seen more shad out off the main lake points. And today when we were drop shotting, we'd see a few around some of the bluff ends, but no big schools of shad. It seemed like what shad we did see was really high in the water column in that 5 to 8 feet. And there was a couple of places on some of them deeper boat docks where we was casting the drop shot or a little 2.8 swim bait. It seemed like you'd get bit in the first 5 feet from the surface down where a lot of them shad were hanging. There just wasn't a lot of fish under them. When we did find the shad, we'd throw that drop shot through them, just kind of let it pendleton down. And usually if you were going to get bit like on the bridge piers and on some of them deep docks, the fish weren't that deep. They were, on that type of structure, they were like 5 to 10 feet down. But there again, there was a lot of little fish. But I think the fishing's going to get a lot better. We've got some really cold days coming in this weekend, and that's going to help drop that water temperature. I think about another week or so after that, especially when that water gets down in the mid-50s, the bite's going to get a lot better. With that thermocline where it's, broken up pretty much throughout the lake, some of them fish have gone shallower and some of them have gone deeper. We caught a couple on a drop shot today, as deep as 50 foot out of some real deep trees. But the majority of them seem to be in that, 22 to 35 feet. So hopefully that water's going to cool down with that front coming in this weekend, and we'll see the shallow bite, pick up in about a week or so after that. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.